Brainstorm, bringing great minds and ideas together, exploring a wide variety of opportunities, achieving academic excellence, using the latest technology, government's impact, preparing for 21st century careers, parenting and health issues, topics shaping tomorrow. Brainstorm with Lisa Willever, bringing great minds and ideas together.
Hi, welcome to Brainstorm. I'm Lisa Willever, and today we are talking about college. But before we begin, let's learn a little bit more about our topic. Welcome to the 6th grade. Where do you plan on attending college, and what career would you like to have for the rest of your life? While 6th grade is a little young to start worrying about college, information is always better earlier than later. So kids, there are many options for your futures. Here are some tips to just keep in mind for when you reach high school. Whether or not college is in your future, work hard. Get involved in sports, clubs, and volunteer activities. Be healthy and make smart choices. Choose your friends wisely. And finally, explore. Explore all of those areas that interest you and even some that don't. College may seem really far off on the horizon, but it's never too early to start making decisions for your future. So joining me today, I am thrilled to have a very important guest. This is Dr. Barbara Gittenstein, the president of the College of New Jersey. First of all, thank you so much for coming today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I know, well, I looked up your bio, I looked up your resume, and wow, I would need a scroll to include everything. So I'm going to just say a couple of the highlights. 40 years as a professor and an administrator in both public and private schools.
Yes.
That's 40 years. That's fantastic. You served as the acting assistant provost for academic affairs at SUNY Oswego?
Yes, I did.
And you were the executive vice president and provost at Drake University?
That's correct.
Okay. Here's a big one. First woman to serve as the College of New Jersey president.
Yes.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And that's in a 160-year history.
That's correct.
Okay. And you're an active scholar. You've written a book, numerous articles. You're on a long list of boards, committees, and associations.
Yes. Well, I think it's very important when you're an academic to have outside involvement too.
Well, like I said, I'm so honored to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
And one of the reasons I'm so honored is because I'm an alumni.
I know that.
I didn't attend the College of New Jersey. I attended when it was still Trenton State College.
Same college.
Same college. And while you weren't the president when I was there, my daughter attends the college right now, and my son's hoping to attend. And I spend a lot of time there now. And I have to tell you, I love what you've done with the place.
Well, thank you so much.
It's an entirely different campus. I've been lost there several times, it's really neat. You know, these beautiful buildings and a campus town. You've really changed the environment for the positive.
Well, I hope we've also retained some of what was so characteristic of Trenton State College and of the College of New Jersey in its earlier years, because change is important, but there has to be a base and a core, and I think we still have that.
Well, I think you definitely nailed that. Now, you've spent a lot of years in education.
I have.
What were some of your fondest memories when you were an undergrad?
Well, I'll have to say I was a real egghead, and I loved my classes. I was an undergraduate at Duke University, and I was an English major, although I didn't start out as an English major. I changed my major a number of times. But I just loved the classroom, and I had wonderful faculty. I created some very good friends, too.
Yes, and I think that's part of the whole college experience is you do create a lifelong set of friends
Absolutely.
That you don't always anticipate when you're in high school and you're selecting those colleges.
Well, one of my friends from college, I'm not sure that my children understand that she's not their aunt.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. Now, I wanted to do a College 101 episode because
Sure.
Brainstorm is about educational topics, and I feel like college is kind of a mystery for a lot of families. There are families where college is expected, it's the tradition, mostly everybody in the family goes to college. And you have some where it's an option, and then you have some families where it's really not on the radar. So I thought having you here today would be wonderful, and just sharing with the viewers some of the things they may or may not know about things like selecting a college.
Absolutely.
How to prepare, what's important. So maybe the first thing I'd like to talk with you about is selecting a college. I know when my daughter became a junior in high school, I saw this phenomenon occur, and it was families spending, it seemed like every waking moment, planning what college they would visit, setting up the visit, road trips, flying all over the place. And this is an intense, almost full-time job in a lot of families. And a lot of the things I heard from the different children were not about the academic programs. It seemed to, their interest was either, you know, this is a school my uncle went to, or I like this city. And I didn't see a lot of people talking about, is this fit with what you want to do as an occupation? How do you think?
Well, I mean, I think there has to be a balance, because match means everything. Fit means everything. And sometimes it's beyond. I think you have to be thoughtful about the place that you choose as far as the academic program is concerned. But there are other elements that matter. For instance, do you want to go to a small school? Do you want to go to a large school? Do you want to go to a school in an urban area? Do you want to go to a school in a rural area? I have 2 children. And one of my children went to a school right in the midst of a city. And I knew he was going to do that from the time he was about 10. My daughter, on the other hand, went to a very, very small school in a very rural area, and they both thrived. And that was not because of the academic programs they chose. It was because of the culture of the place. So that does matter. And sometimes having a family member that knows the history of the place can reinforce that understanding of the culture.
Very good. So you're basically letting the viewers know that it's a very comprehensive process.
Yes, it is.
And that a lot of factors will play into that decision. How do you feel?
And I wouldn't focus just on rankings.
Oh,
and I
that was
say
one of the questions coming up.
Because now TCNJ does extremely well in the rankings. But sometimes rankings are misleading.
Okay.
And the methodology that is used for ranking an institution might not answer the question that the student or the family has about whether, in fact, my student, or I, if I'm the student, will fit in.
Yes. So when a parent and a student, they're looking at different colleges, do you have any suggestions on questions they should be asking?
I'm not so sure it's questions, because those questions will probably come naturally. I do think a visit to the campus is essential.
Okay.
I really believe that. And if you can go to an institution and do an overnight.
Oh,
Sometimes
okay.
there are these overnight kinds of programs. Either
Where they
through
stay in a
siblings,
dorm? Okay.
And they stay in a residence hall with a student, and these students are all chosen. So I mean, they're all carefully chosen. So it's all very well managed by the institution. You can get a real feel for what the culture is like, and I think that really helps a student begin to see him or herself there. And it's sometimes just as vague as a feeling.
Okay.
One of my favorite stories about my daughter, we were doing that exact tour that you were describing. My husband and I were doing that exact tour with her to all of these small schools in the Midwest, because we were living in the Midwest at the time. We were in Iowa. And she opened the door at Earlham College, which is where she went. And she said, "I love it here." I said, "Pauline, you haven't even walked out of the door of the car." But
So
she was
a little
right.
anxious, a little anxious.
But the point is, I think there is something to that, something about the gestalt, the feeling of the place.
Now, I know a lot of kids have a dream school. And, that's the one they have their heart set on. And, they will apply to other schools. But if they don't get into that dream school, I hate to see them crushed, but their life lessons there. And I think you become more resilient. When I was applying to colleges, I applied to every place but Trenton State College. And the reason was because it was less than 10 miles from my house.
Yes.
And I envisioned myself, I was the first one in my family to go to college. I thought I was going somewhere. The financial aid didn't come through enough to cover the other schools. My father made me fill out the Trenton State application. I messed it up on purpose. He came back the next day with 20 of them. And he said, "In case you make a mistake," and we sent it in. And I thank him constantly, because that was the right fit. I was too young to know that that would be the right fit for me. It was 100% the place I was supposed to be. And I'm so thankful that he saw that, even though I didn't. So sometimes what you think is your dream college, it may not work out. But I think if the kids are open, you know, and the parents support them and saying, that's a good one, but
let's look at something else. I think that's very wise. I also think that it's not the worst thing in the world to have a disappointment like this at this particular age, when you're in the safety of your home with your loving parents around, or loving family or support systems, siblings, and you don't succeed in this particular dream. I did get into the colleges that I wanted to, but I did not succeed in the major that I wanted to succeed in. I was a musician. I was going to be a singer. And the first very big disappointment of my life was finding out that I wasn't good enough to be a singer. And I tell students the story all the time, and then I say, I think I succeeded okay.
I think you did pretty well.
So my point is, that happens. It's good to have those failures if you know how to handle them.
And I think as parents, a lot of times we want to cushion the blow,
and
we want to do anything possible to avoid, especially a big disappointment like that. But I remember when I, got all the financial aid letters, and my dad looked at everything. He said, "Did they give you the name of the bank we rob?" And I said, "No." He says, "Hey, look, TSC." And it was one of those, it wasn't in a mean way, but it was like, here's the reality. Like, you're an adult now, so this is what we're going to do. And again, sometimes windows close, doors open.
That's
it's not always
right.
the door closing. Now, let me ask you this. How about parents when they come? Do you notice a difference? It seemed like they were more detached when I was in college. People seem to hover a little bit more now. Are you noticing that with the students?
There is. And there's some real danger in that. And the danger is that it takes away the sense of maturity for the student. Now, don't misunderstand me. All of us who think of ourselves as good parents do it. I mean, I did it myself. I'll give you this advice about how you shouldn't try to step in for your kid. I won't even tell you the stories of the number of times I tried to step in. So it's not that you do it, it's that you stop yourself from doing it. Or you have helped your child become mature enough to tell you, "Stop, Mom." Because the real problem is not that you're causing some administrator a problem. That's what we're paid for. That's not the issue. The problem is that you're limiting your students' ability to grow and understand how to handle a problem and respond to a failure or respond to a challenge by him or herself. Because they have to, because eventually you're not going to be there.
I know, and I think that's where I see it. I used to be a teacher. When I first graduated, I was elementary age. So I taught in an urban setting, but then I became an author, and I visit schools all over the country. And when I'm in schools, I work with a lot of PTA moms, and I just noticed the trend where everybody's really involved in what the kids are doing, even as they're in high school. So I always wonder, when these kids finally do get to college, especially the ones who are living on campus, I wonder how that impacts them, finally having that freedom and without the structure of mom and dad.
And sometimes there is that other negative element that happens. Without mom and dad around, they sometimes make some very, very poor choices because they've not been put in a position where they had to make choices for themselves in the past, which is very dangerous. But I also think for the students some of the students that I've dealt with, they're also put in a very stressful situation when their parents are interceding and they're trying to handle it themselves. I feel sorry for the kids when that happens.
Oh, I agree 100%. Now, we are going to come back and talk some more about college. So we'll be back in just a moment with some more Brainstorm and the amazing Dr. Barbara Gittenstein.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework. I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's just gotta
I'm trying as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
1 in 5 children struggle with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to understood.org.
We're back with more Brainstorm, and I'm joined by Dr. Barbara Gittenstein from the College of New Jersey, and we're talking about college and hopefully demystifying some of the overwhelming and maybe unknown parts of college that families may feel a little reticent about. So there are so many different things I would love to ask you. But one of the things I noticed, I was reading an article, and it was from 120 Years of American Education, a Statistical Portrait. It was just on my light reading.
Yeah.
But in 1870, the first report was commissioned, and the commissioner proudly reported 7 million children in the U.S. were in elementary school, 80,000 were in secondary schools, and 9,000 had received college degrees. So that sounds nice for 1870. Then you skip ahead to 1990, 30 million children were enrolled in public schools, 11 million were enrolled in secondary, and 1.5 million earned bachelor's or higher. So that is an amazing jump in the numbers of people, the population of those who are educated. So that obviously means so many more people have access to education. Yes. What is your position on higher education as far as, are you from the camp where every student should go to college, or would you like to see some students go to college, some fulfill trades, the arts, a mix? How do you feel about that?
Probably more of a mix. I mean, I think one of the things we have to be careful about, however, when we talk about this, is to make sure that when we're saying that, we're not limiting students because of their economic background or because of the cultural situation in which they grew up. There are students from very wealthy families, from very wealthy backgrounds who should not be in college. There are students from very poverty-stricken, academically challenged backgrounds who absolutely should be getting doctorates. And so when we talk about it, I think we have to be very careful that we're talking about the skills of the individual and the interest of the individual. And by skills, I don't mean lesser or more. I'm talking about different. I mean, someone who is going to be better at a skilled profession is going to be making more money than some of us who received doctorates and are working in the nonprofit industry. So it's not more or less, it's just different. And I think we have to be very careful to say that everybody should have a college degree.
I'm so happy that you said that, especially coming from a college president, because I think what you say has so much weight to it. And I do think a lot of people feel as though they have to go to college, even if it's not the right fit for them.
That's right.
I mean, I've never agreed with, I remember when I was in high school, they would say, these kids aren't college material. And I didn't like the material analogy. I always thought of it more as, is college the right fit for you?
Exactly
I'm the
right.
daughter of a tradesman. My dad was a butcher. He was a fantastic athlete. He was in the Athletic Hall of Fame. He wasn't a good fit for college. So he went on to be a tradesman. And he was happier that way. He wouldn't have been happy in college. And he did well. And I had come from a family with, masons and carpenters and electricians. And, these guys, they work with their hands. That's how they're happy. And I felt like for a while there, we almost devalued the trades.
I think we did.
And we kept saying, everybody should go.
But I think we have to be, but I want to be very careful that when we have this conversation, we're talking about the individual's capacity, not a group's capacity, or not a background that describes why that person has a capacity. That's one of the reasons that I have concerns about some models that are being touted from other European countries, because what I would like to see is what I call easy in, easy out. And that's one of the great values of what the community college system created in the United States. And that is that students who may not have succeeded well in high school can pursue a certificate or an associate's degree and then drop out and then come back in. In some European countries, that won't happen. Once you've chosen a route, that's the route that you're on.
Okay.
And that's problematic.
No,
that's
absolutely.
that's not what we need to be doing in this country.
And I like what you said about the economic status. You know, college shouldn't be directly linked to whether your family can afford to send you to college or if you shouldn't. You know, when I was teaching, I would tell the fourth graders, every single one of you can go to college if the job you want requires college and you want to go. We would, you know, take out a New Jersey Transit bus map and we would see you can get jobs at the mall, you can get a bus pass, and try to show them how it is possible. You can go 1 or 2 classes at a time. You don't have to graduate in the 4 years. In fact, my daughter, we had a discussion and I owe her an apology because when I looked at her grades, I said, why do you have 4 classes? I said, I thought you were going full time. I thought you had 5. And she said, no, Mom, we do 4. And I said, Jessica. And it turned out, I read everything when I was reading your bio. So it is 4 classes, but more in depth.
Exactly.
And I think what a positive move that is because they're not as spread out, but they're getting deeper in what they are learning.
Absolutely.
So I definitely, I agree with you. College should be for those who want to go. No one should be turned away because of the financial
The one thing,
resource.
though, that I just finished reading a very interesting article in the New York Times about the relationship between health and higher education. And we've got to figure that piece out before we're sure that we discourage people from going to college. Now, I don't think it's a causal relationship, but there's something happening that people are making better health choices, better life choices, if they have in fact attended a community college or a college. And so maybe there's something that needs to be done with regards to kind of health education, because we wouldn't want to doom people to bad health either.
Oh, absolutely. And now, how do you see community colleges playing a role
Oh, well,
as the entry?
A very important role. Now, not for all students. At the College of New Jersey, the vast majority of our students are freshmen, come in as freshmen and graduate after 4 years. That's the vast majority of our student population. We do have some transfer students, as you know.
I sent you one.
But that's just not our largest population. A lot of students who are choosing community colleges are choosing it because it's closer to home, because of a price point, because they can move through more quickly. And a lot of students are choosing it because of the reasons that I mentioned before. That is, that they may not quite be ready for the kind of intensity of a baccalaureate education, and they want to get some kind of credentials so that they can be gainfully employed as they're preparing for the next. So the community college system that we have in New Jersey and in the United States is a remarkable system and is not matched any other place in the world.
Yeah, I mean, having my children go through it, even during high school and taking summer classes, I got to see firsthand all the things they were learning. And I looked through the course brochures, and I even thought, if you wanted to be a plumber and you became an apprentice and you wanted to go there, and you didn't need the whole degree, if you wanted to take some marketing and business classes just so you could run your own business one day, there's so many options for education to positively impact everybody on varying levels.
That's exactly
So I'm so happy to hear you say all that. So let me ask you this. You've been at the College of New Jersey for 19 years.
Yes.
It'll be 19 and a half. You are retiring.
I am.
My 11-year-old, I said, give me a question to ask her about retiring. And here's his question. Was it fun?
The vast majority of the time, it was very gratifying. Sometimes it was a lot of fun. Sometimes it was really hard.
So like life.
Exactly like life.
Now, I came across an article I thought that you might be interested in, and it was Philly.com. It came out recently, and I was very impressed with, well, everything, but this especially. It seemed that Stephen Briggs was recalling your response to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And it said, when she heard the news, her first instinct was, let's walk around the campus and be visible to the students and be with the students. Gittenstein and Briggs walked from dorm to dorm, he said, and all around campus. Students, many from New York and North Jersey, huddled together to watch the news and cry. Her instinct is to be visible, to be available. Her sense is when something difficult happens, people look for leadership, and therefore you need to step to the front and you need to be honest and open and human. I was so moved when I read this because my husband was one of the firefighters who
my goodness.
went on the train when they put the call out. The Trenton Fire Department
Yeah.
sent a large contingent. So I remember that time very vividly.
Absolutely.
And I know if my daughter had been in college then, to know that you were going as college president, dorm to dorm, and being out there for those students, especially because in New Jersey, we are so close and so many students come from North Jersey. You know, it just spoke to leadership, which in my opinion is humanity. I mean, I think leadership is if you are a leader, you have humanity. You can read people, see what they need, respond to it. So I thought, you know, you've had such an illustrious career, but that right there, I think it just spoke volumes.
Well, thank you.
So are you ready to play a little game
Sure.
called Brainstorm? You want to have some fun?
Okay.
Now that I have you almost in tears as well as myself?
Okay.
Okay, so in the tradition of brainstorming, we will go over 8 ideas. If you think it's a good one, we'll keep it.
Okay.
If you think it's not a great idea, let's ball it up and you get a chance to shoot some baskets.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you didn't do any layups this morning, did you?
Uh-oh.
Okay, and remember, sometimes they're kind of on the fence.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, several factors should be considered when selecting a college.
That's a good one.
All right, we'll keep it. You're safe.
Yeah, okay.
All right, if you don't score well on the SAT, college is out of the question. Good job. See that? That's like, you know, you could coach after you finish there. Everyone finishes college in 4 years. Nice. Okay. Colleges offer many forms of financial assistance and guidance. Okay. Volunteering and community involvement aren't that important. All right, 3 for 3. All right, you do have a future in basketball. Everyone should go to college.
We've already done this one.
We've done it, been there. Okay, look at you. Make some room. Okay, the trades are also outstanding career paths. Okay, and a successful college experience produces well-rounded graduates. Well, I just want to thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I have viewers all over the country, and I know what you said today is going to really help them as they prepare their own children for college. And I wish you many happy, healthy years.
so much.
And I'm not going to say retirement. I'm sure it's just your next adventure.
Yeah, probably
It doesn't
so.
sound like you sit still much. So
I don't sit still much.
many happy, healthy years
Thank you
as
so
you move
much.
forward. Thank you so
And
much.
good luck to all our upcoming TCNJ graduates.
Yes, thank you. And I want to thank our viewers for watching. We'll see you next time on Brainstorm.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love, love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.